Hello, everyone.
Hey, everyone.
This is Annie.
And this is Gail.
And you're listening to Heroes
And Zeros.
a true crime podcast.
That's right.
Yipper dipper. Hola, chica. Señorita.
Hola. Well,
¿Cómo estás?
Muy bien, ¿y tú?
Bueno. 4 years of Spanish, people. That's what I got.
I love it. I love it. Well, we're sitting here in the pod lab again. It's slowly turning colder.
Woohoo.
I know.
I just like it cool, just in case I get any haters. I don't like to be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And I like cool. I love a good breeze with crisp air and low humidity with shorts, tennis shoes, and a sweatshirt.
Yeah, I wouldn't wear shorts.
If I don't, I'll be sweating.
Well, today it's funny. I was walking this morning and Annie drove by and I'm like, hey, don't do anything because I'm coming the way I am. So the truth is the pod lab could be pretty stinky smelling.
She's lying. She doesn't smell. I've never seen this lady.
Oh,
gross.
Well, I'm feeling a little that way today. So.
Well, okay, first order of business here is just discuss what's in the news, and I don't listen to the news, but I heard about was it in Philadelphia, the train rape?
Oh, this disturbed me greatly.
I was so angry when I heard about it. I was Googling everything. I was trying to find videos on YouTube, like people discussing it. I heard Elvis Duran was talking about it.
And so tell me more. What everybody's saying?
Appalled. That there could be, they went through 27 stops. The attack.
Are you fucking kidding me?
Nope. The only person that called 911 was an off-duty transit personnel person, like a person that works on the train, gets on the train, sees what he believes is a criminal act, and grabs the guy and pulls him off of her. It had been going on for 40 minutes, and where he sat by her, he said he knew her, and he kept harassing her. She kept telling him to go away, and pretty soon he just rips her pants down and rapes her. And as he's raping her, people have their phones, don't know what they're doing, but they're not calling 911 apparently, and they have it up in the air and directed towards the attack. Nobody does a gosh darn thing.
Wait a minute. Okay, so wait. So tell me,
what?
First of all, what is she? Is she yelling?
Yes.
Is she screaming help?
Yes.
Is she screaming stop? I'm being raped. Do you help me?
Yeah, that's what they want to show, is that anybody that wants to turn in, if they recorded it, can turn it in to show that she didn't want it to happen, that she was saying, no, quit it, stop it, screaming, whatever it may be. I wasn't on that train. I don't know.
This disturbs me greatly because as someone, thank God this has never happened, I can't imagine, like I've got strong motherfucking legs. Excuse our audience that I'm going to be a little cussing today because when I get angry, I'm kind of that way.
I'm trying not to. But
I've got strong legs. I just can't imagine me not being able to kick the shit out of somebody who was trying to remove my pants. So I don't get the violence or how that happens. I don't get how it happens. And then
you don't what happens? How she gets her pants taken off, you mean?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know either, but maybe she's not strong. Maybe she's little. Maybe she stands up to I'm not even going to
I know, right?
You know what I mean?
So let me ask you this. So then how many... Okay, so next question then, because this is... I know I was so angry when I heard this. So tell me, how many people were in the car during this act?
I don't know.
It's horrendous.
I believe it was more than a dozen. But
Are you fucking kidding me?
And people stand around and do... I'm trying to put myself in that position, which, as you know, it's really hard for me to try to wrap my mind around why some people...
Annie, nobody can on this one.
No. And they said this is really an aberrant type of situation that most people would help. There's always a Good Samaritan, but right now, I guess, there are no Good Samaritan laws. If you see a crime in place, you're not bound by law to stop.
Interesting enough.
At least where it took place in Philadelphia.
So when you think about this, so... Couple of things I think about. Number one, when you say that, there's a Seinfeld. The Seinfeld episodes, if you've ever seen Seinfeld, some people have, some haven't.
I didn't watch it, but I know what you're talking about.
The very last episodes, they are filming this gentleman who's being held up and having like a carjacking or something.
Yeah.
And they're not filming. They didn't have cell phones back then. But they are all just standing there kind of laughing and like, oh, look at this. It was a really heavy guy. And, look at this heavy guy. And ooh, he looks so scared. And so they didn't help. And so then.
Did they not take it seriously in the episode then?
No.
Or it was just like they just let it happen?
Well, because Seinfeld's, all the characters are known like, for, well, whatever,
Yeah.
And so they're kind of that way. And so it was quote unquote funny, but then there was a Good Samaritan law back then. And so they actually arrested him and they put him in jail. And the very last episode
Why would we get
them
rid of
in
that
jail.
law?
Okay, so in jail because, and people hated how Seinfeld ended. Really, I did too. It was I felt like it was a really letdown type of ending.
Disappointing, huh?
But needless to say, they got put in jail because there's a Good Samaritan law. And so that law is not in anymore. I don't care if there isn't a dozen people. I'm just shocked at that too. I thought maybe there were 3 or 4. But if there were really a dozen, I believe that 1 or 2 people out of every 10 people are really good people.
If I was the only person on that train.
And that means 1 out of 10 aren't good people anymore. So 1 or 2 out of 10 nowadays aren't good people. So we have to go to bigger odds. Mm-hmm. I mean, I just, and I wonder if somebody was like, well, I would help, but the other 19 weren't, or the other 12 or 11 weren't. So I didn't help because I was afraid maybe I'd get, I don't know. I just don't get it because there's also this mob mentality. Once one person helps, then another one and another one.
Yeah.
So mob mentalities work bad and good. It could have worked good if one person would have stood up.
Yeah.
Others would have stood up.
Or at least call 911 at the beginning of the 40 minutes.
And then I go, okay, and I'm not trying again. Who knows? What time was it in the morning?
It was like 10 o'clock at night.
Okay, so 10 o'clock at night. It wasn't like in the middle of the night.
It was 10 o'clock at night. The attack lasted for 24 stops.
I thought you said 27, 24?
Yep, 24 stops.
40 minutes.
By stop 27 was when I believe the police were actually notified, and that was by the transit worker. And I might have that wrong. Either the police came on stop 27 or the police were called on stop 27. But either way, can you imagine? Oh my, it makes me so mad. And they said, I heard this morning, some lady, I can't remember her name, I'll have to find out. She was on Fox News, I think. I just was walking through the kitchen, and they were talking about it, and she said it's disheartening because it seems like it's a culture of how it's disintegrating and how we're on our phones and we're just going to record everything. And she goes, I'm still waiting for one of those people that was, if they were recording, to send it in as evidence.
No, you know what you'll find it on is a porn site.
Right.
And that's the other thing I worry.
Oh my gosh.
Is that part of our desensitizing to it of sex is because so
you
much
can
porn
access
is
it
out there.
so easily.
And so you're just desensitized to it of, oh, look, here's somebody having sex. But again, how could you be desensitized to someone yelling help?
Right.
Stop. I need help.
Well, let's tonight or till next week, let's learn more what we can about it. I know that this guy, I think he's 19 years old. This is his second sexual assault charge. And I heard this morning that he's being charged with rape.
Okay, so here's the other thing I was thinking about when this case came up. And this is, again, just like you said, what is going on with our society. Because, okay, I was talking to my sister about this yesterday. Mm-hmm. Shout out Gwen.
Hi, Gwen.
And we're talking about it, and I said that I read this book at one point that was this lady and son who were escaping the poverty and the the violence in their country,
in their neighborhood country.
And they were coming. They were immigrating north through all of Mexico, so they were somewhere south, moving all the way through Mexico to come to U.S. for a better life. Right? Yeah. We know that happens all the time.
Yeah.
But this book is really centered around this woman and her son who are traveling, and on part of the route there's a lot of people traveling, and there's a lot of dangerous people.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And on part of the route, they're on a train, on like the top of a train car, and or in the train car, which is full of men and women, and her son, and a guy rapes her.
Of course.
And of course, nobody does anything. Nobody does anything. And I remember being appalled while reading that book, like, oh my God, how could you not help her? How could you not do anything? How could you just let this happen? And
I don't think you or I are the type of people that would let it happen. Maybe that's why we have a podcast.
so anyway, I
don't get
but
it.
I mean, the people who, yes. So I'm like, and I remember that book hit me really hard because of that. And I wish I could remember the name. Maybe one of our audience members has read it. My sister goes, I've read that book. I go, I
really?
think I read it at your house while I was
funny.
vacationing there. So,
Oh, and I think the guy in Philadelphia on that train, I don't think he even had a weapon or anything, because the judge person said, the woman that I was telling you was talking about it, said that what would they have done if he would have pulled a knife out? Would they have sensed then, obviously, this is a dangerous situation, and then helped her?
I
don't
just. Wow. So I just, I don't get it, because this guy did have some weapon, I remember in the book. And so maybe that's what kept people away or whatever. But they all just turned silent and turned their heads away. The act happened. And I remember thinking, oh my God, that would, I can't imagine that would never really happen here. And so to now think, guys, I read that book, it's got to be less than 10 years ago. So within the last 10 years, I've read that book and I remember thinking, I cannot imagine something horrific happening like that.
It would never happen here.
And then here it is
Famous last
in
words.
Philadelphia, which I have friends who live in Philadelphia. Shout out to Shauna.
Hi, Shauna.
And so when I think about that, and the fact that I thought it was in the middle of the night, like 2, 3 a.m., there's hardly anyone around because it's just in the middle of the night. Granted, a big city. I mean, it's not like our small town Iowa's, right? However, it wasn't. It was at a really, populous time. I mean, that's pretty busy time still at 9, 10 o'clock at night.
I would think so.
And so I was trying to imagine, well, who are the type of people that would be traveling in the middle of the night on the car? And maybe that's why. But again,
it makes me mad. I heard that Elvis Duran was kind of ranting and raving about it. And he said, if any of my listeners were on that train, I want you to stop listening to me right now. I don't want you, as a listener, being any part of my show.
No fucking shit.
Yeah. So if anybody's in a situation like that, please, I hope you're the type of person that would actually call 911, even if you're not going to go over there and try to pull him off of her because you're afraid or whatever. Hope you do something. I'm ashamed of all you people that didn't. And I'm sure none of you are listening.
I know.
So you're never going to know that I said that.
And I'm just sitting here again, and I think our listeners probably, if you haven't heard this story, I'm sure you're in shock too, because it just is shocking and unbelievable, and it really scares you of what's going on in our lives and what's going on in our world, and more importantly, what's going on in our nation. So yeah, wow, that's crazy. So we wanted to catch up, of course, on that, but how about also there's a couple other things too I wanted to catch up on.
Xavier Harrelson.
Oh gosh, guys, do you remember when I kind of off the top of my head talked about this sweet young boy, 11, 12 years old?
Yep, I think he was 12.
He
went missing May 27th.
Yes, and we talked about, he had rode his bike, and that
he was 10.
And that the grandma or the neighbor lady is the one who, really said, he reported him missing, and, they did searches. And I know I've done updates about the reward money and all of that. And I know we're so sad to report that they found his body.
They did.
And they haven't released the autopsy yet?
No, they haven't. Yeah, they haven't released the cause of death. That he was found in an Iowa cornfield about 3 miles away from where he lived. So his clothing was the same on the farmer that found him. He thought more than likely it's him because the clothing was similar. And he's been positively identified as Xavier Harrelson.
Did they, and they haven't released any, they
Nothing
think
more.
It's foul play, or
they just
don't
said they're
think...
looking at it as suspicious. I would hope so. 10-year-old boy found dead in a cornfield, most likely suspicious. But, they have to use police speak. So they can't say, well, he was murdered when they haven't done an autopsy or released anything yet. So
I'm just so sad.
Yeah, he was going to be 11 years old. He was on summer vacation less than a week when that happened.
Please, everyone, if you could just say a prayer for his mom and his family. I can't imagine the pain they're going through.
It's
and hug your babies.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's really tough. I think what's interesting about this case is that, and for our out-of-state listeners, I'm not sure if you even heard of. I think some states around us picked it up. That there was a jogger who was actually in the same area, the Montezuma area of Iowa, who was out running.
Molly
young
Tibbetts.
lady, yeah, and she was killed.
I think that did go nationwide.
Okay, so Molly Tibbetts was at the University of Iowa or Northern Iowa.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I think for some reason I think UNI, but
yeah. Anyway, she was out running and then disappeared, and they found her, remains, and she also, was found. However, what's awkward and weird about that situation is I think it's in the same county, and if I read something, there's been a few things out of that county, and I have to say, during the Molly Tibbetts trial, they did a lot of, covering that in Iowa. And I'm not sure I felt that defendant was guilty. I didn't watch the whole trial. I don't know. I'm just simply looking at the defendant, and I know that's not fair either. You can't tell by, looking at someone whether they're guilty or not. But
Molly Tibbetts went to Iowa.
But at Iowa, okay, University of Iowa. But Molly... Anyway, so they found... Anyway, I think it's a huge coincidence. In my opinion, it's a huge coincidence that...
The small Poweshiek County town gets two
Right.
murders.
And actually, from what I've heard, though, there's been more than that. And
really?
so, do we really know that we have the right... they did convict this gentleman, man, because he may have been her killer, so I won't give him the title gentleman, but they did convict the man in Molly Tibbetts' murder, and he was found guilty. And so, but do they have the right person? And that's my scary thing, is if this happened to Molly, and we know it's happened to Xavier, and I've heard rumors, but in all honest for our audience, have not researched it,
Right.
that there were other children also in that county or in the area
that had gone missing?
Yes.
Holy shit.
And so...
Well, did he rape Molly Tibbetts? Did they have DNA? See, we haven't researched this guy, sorry. We haven't covered the case, so I'm not sure if,
I don't know. Let me check into that. But at the end of the day...
Something might be going on.
Well, that's my concern.
Right.
That's my concern. And at the end of the day, we don't know what happened to Xavier. And I can't imagine... I don't know if he was happy, but he was riding his bike. He was on summer vacation. So that means if it is foul play, because I can't imagine it wouldn't be.
Right.
That means there's a killer on the loose. And we know how many, what was it, an average, there's like 12 or 8 to 12 average serial killers out there right now. There's... You know
what?
Remember I gave that stat about how many murders?
I remember you saying that. I even looked up and I covered, I took some notes on it again, but I have to sit here and find my notes.
I know.
But yes.
Our whole audience is real proud of our research.
Well, we are talking about cases that we haven't covered or researched. So
no, but we
don't
just
want to
thought
say
it would
hearsay
be
all the time.
interesting. Well, number one, Annie and I both agreed that we needed to give you, as our audience members, an update on Xavier. So once again, give your prayers and thoughts to his family, and hug your little ones also. So we knew, but that made me think about that Molly Tibbetts case and all the things that were, that I've just heard and all of that. So we may need to come back to that again. But unfortunately, Xavier was found, and we will update our audience when the autopsy is done and we hear more information. In the meantime, if you're in that area, and I do have a girlfriend that lives in that area, shout out to Kayleen, who has 2 sweet little boys.
In the Poweshiek area?
Keep them close. Keep them close, Kayleen, and to all the moms and dads out there. Keep your babies close. Did we have another update besides Xavier and...
Gabby Petito?
Oh, Gabby.
Yeah. I don't know anything more.
Well,
they just still haven't found the boyfriend.
Right. We still don't know if did they ever
And you told us the theory last time.
right, did they ever
I haven't looked into it either.
our audience is like, what the fuck can you speak?
Well, you asked me about Gabby Petito. That's what's going on in our around the
Gabby, remember I put the theory that they killed the couple that was in the bar, the couple that was in the bar, the women, and that
to rob them,
right,
and then killed them.
But we haven't heard any more. If
that theory is hot.
But we do know right now, audience, as you're listening to this, as at the time of us recording this, it is they haven't found her. They haven't found her boyfriend Brian yet. Nope. Hey, by the way, so somebody reached out. Shout out to Deb Walton Scott. I think that's it. Is it Scott Walton? Maybe Walton Scott. Anyway, Deb sent me a message saying, she loves the podcast.
Oh, cool.
We got love
Thank
mail.
You, Deb.
Yay. And then she said, hey, one of the things that she'd heard that Gabby, and I read this too, one of the things she heard that Gabby had sent to her mom while she was still alive was, and tell Uncle Stan or Grandpa Stan or something that such and such and such, which her grandfather, I'm not sure if he was passed or not, but I remember her mom thinking that was weird. Why did she mention Stan? Well, technically, Deb says, she reminded me of this, and I read it too, but she said that the text Gabby Petito had sent her mom talked about Stan, and she thought it referred to her grandfather, but I thought it was weird that she called him by name.
Right.
Like you usually just go Grandpa or whatever,
like
or Grandpa Stan, right. Well, technically, STAN, S-T-A-N, is an acronym
for
Send the Authorities Now.
Oh my gosh.
And it says that if anyone needs help, that this is something out there that, we as women and men, too, should all know that if you send someone with the word Stan or how is Stan, that if you're like, what is this? I don't get it. It means there's somebody that can see their phone, so they can't really say, I need help, I need you. They are saying, send the authorities now.
I had no idea that existed.
Which is a great thing to have exist, because there are a lot of domestic violence cases or things where husbands are watching that phone.
Right.
And this is a way to be able to really get the word out to
just
somebody
knowing
that need help.
Is worth this podcast alone to do that,
On that,
oh my
thanks
gosh.
everybody. Bye-bye. No, just kidding. But yes, and so we talked about Gabby Petito on our last one. We gave a little update. And so I just all of a sudden remembered that...
Gave me the giggles.
Yeah, that we've gotten some love mail lately. After the hate mail, we have gotten some love.
Yay for love.
And
Thanks,
so,
Deb
Deb, thanks so much.
If that's your name.
Deb Walton Scott. Yep.
Okay, good.
And so
Cool
I just, again, want to say thank you, Deb, for sending that to me. And then
Stan. How is Stan? I miss Stan. I need Stan.
Right.
Whatever.
Now you all know.
Yeah.
Send the authorities
if
now.
someone says, who the fuck are you talking to? I don't have an Uncle Stan. Then you go, oh.
Right. Yep.
So-and-so needs help.
So
Gotcha.
we know that. So then... some fun things.
We didn't update very well, but we did tell you what could be updated.
We told you our
What's going
opinions
on.
and our theories.
By no means are we professional journalists, in case you didn't know.
Hey, and by the way, we are looking for writers.
You want to just write us an email to start with? We'll
sponsors.
See. Yeah.
I love it.
Okay, Gail,
Well,
what are you covering today? I'm excited to know.
I know. Well, I'm going to save it, and we'll just move into that, next time. Do you want to just end this for this?
Sure, it's a little mini-sode. It's only
a little mini-sode.
Okay.
I love a little mini-sode.
All righty then.
I think it gives them an update, and then we start out fresh.
Okay.
Fresh. Fresh is a fresh. Here's the deal, though.
Yes.
On these 3 updates, we have the woman that was raped in Philadelphia.
Yep.
We have Xavier Harrelson, and we have Gabby, right?
Yep.
At the bottom line is we don't have the 0. We don't have the 0 in the Gabby case.
Or the Xavier. But we have the 0 on the train rape.
Oh, that's right. That's right. And we have one hero from the train rape.
That was the transit worker.
Yep. All right.
That was off duty.
As you know, this is Heroes and zeros, so we got to make sure we let you know if you hadn't already figured it out.
Unfortunately, there's so many zeros out there. It's hard to find a hero. But
at the end of the day, remember, guys and gals, this could be your wife, your mom, your sister, your best friend. Let's all stand up for each other. And it's not just that case. In all, when we see a misguided action happen,
do something.
Do something. And don't get yourself in harm's way. We don't want you to do that.
But if you see a tire iron laying around, don't be afraid to use it. See you later, everybody.
Love you, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. For joining us, everyone. Be sure to stay connected with us on social media at both Instagram and Facebook. Our Instagram is
Heroes Zeros Podcast,
and Facebook
Heroes and Zeros, a true crime podcast. And you can listen to our podcast episodes or support or donate money to us, and you can send us your stories and just a lot more at our website, which is
heroesandzerostruecrime.com. Again, that's heroesandzerostruecrime.com. And you can email us also at heroes2zeros&more. That's the number 2, heroes2zeros&more @gmail.com.
Exactly. And you can also support us at our Patreon site now, which is
patreon.com/heroeszeros.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.